Hello, I'm Larry, and this is going to be my exercise 3A in the Talk to Camera Bootcamp. The topic of the module is humor. Very hard to talk about humor, very hard to talk humorously. Talking about humor is, you may have heard, like explaining a joke. You can do it. Talking about humor is like dissecting a frog. You can do it, but the frog has to die. Talking about humor, including humor in a video, requires comfort, requires spontaneity, requires flexibility, being able to make loose associations between words and ideas. So I thought that rather than talking about funny or trying to include humor in the content of this video, I might start by telling a couple jokes. And one is called the Coolidge effect. It's named after President Calvin Coolidge. And he was known for having very little to say, and he had a very dry wit. And the story is that President Coolidge and his wife were visiting a farm one day. And she noticed that it's time to turn off the overhead light because they create silly reflections in the things behind me. So, one moment. There we go. Now, hopefully, that still provides enough light where I like it when the light shines through my glasses so you can see my eyes. I was told by somebody a long time ago, several people as a matter of fact, told me that I had very sexy green eyes. So I hope that shows up on this video. Coolidge. So Calvin Coolidge and his wife are touring a farm. And Mrs. Coolidge is going through the farm, and the farmer's pointing out the different animals and different stations that they have in the equipment. And she notices that there is a rooster really going at it with a hen. I mean, very enthusiastic. And so she stops and she says to the farmer, "Is that rooster always that enthusiastic?" And the farmer thinks for just a moment and he says, "Well, yes, ma'am, he really is. He's one of our best roosters." So Mrs. Coolidge says, "Would you mind pointing that out to President Coolidge?" So as President Coolidge is on his way through the barn, and the farmer is being very hospitable and pointing out all the different things, and he says, "By the way, sir, Mrs. Coolidge wanted me to point out the vigorousness with which the rooster mates with those chickens, with our chickens." And Calvin Coolidge says, "That's interesting. Let me ask, is it always the same hen?" And the farmer thinks for just a moment and he says, "Well, no, sir. As a matter of fact, it's always a different hen. We rotate them." And he goes from one hen. President Coolidge says, "Would you mind pointing that out to Mrs. Coolidge?" So, humor, and one person that I was listening to something, I forget what, but it was kind of an NPR thing or something educational, and they pointed out that the formula for humor is an ordinary thing followed by an ordinary thing followed by a very unusual thing. And I was in a very ordinary situation, a very kind of sort of serious sort of thing. Anyway, it was a reunion for my Catholic grammar school class. The people who showed up to this thing, they went through 8th grade and graduated from the Catholic school. I, for various reasons, only graduated. I went through the 6th grade and then I went to public school. So I don't know how I wound up getting invited to this reunion, but it was a great event. Had a lot of fun, and different people got up to speak about their experience at the school, and there were these very heartfelt expressions of appreciation. And two of the people there actually happened to be nuns. One was currently a nun, and she was our first grade nun. The other was the nun that we had when I was in 3rd grade. So there are two nuns in the room, and there are about 20 or 30 former Catholic school kids. But we're all adults now, and I think to myself, I'll tell a joke. So I tell them there's this wonderful YouTube channel that you can go to. It's called Old Jews Telling Jokes. And the jokes are filthy. But they're funny because they're these harmless old Jewish men and women telling these crazy, filthy jokes, which is the usual thing, two old, elderly Jewish people. But but the unusual thing is they're telling these dirty jokes. That's what makes them a little bit more funny. Anyway, one of them, I tell this joke to a room full of Catholic kids, adults we all went to Catholic grammar school together, and two nuns are in the room. So the joke is, Abe goes to see his doctor, and the doctor says, Abe, you have to stop masturbating. And Abe says, but doctor, why? And the doctor says, so I can examine it. And there was silence. Like inside this room right now, where I'm talking by myself to a camera, there's that kind of silence. I recovered and I talked about some fond memories of Catholic school, one of which is that we had to diagram sentences. You get up to the chalkboard and you diagram the subject and the verb and the object of the verb and prepositions and clauses and things. And I say, we diagram sentences, and the diagrams look like a street map of Paris. And I really always kind of enjoyed it, and I think that to this day, it's responsible for the fact that I can extemporaneously make up grammatically correct sentences, almost by instinct. And I think that has to do with being in Catholic school. I was also the teacher's pet in 3rd grade. A guy named Andy Lusick and I were teacher's pet, and we used to alternate days on being allowed to carry the nuns' bookcase from the classroom over to the convent. Yes, that's right. Little old me in 3rd grade was a teacher's pet. I don't have a joke behind that. That's all there is. But adding humor to speaking, it takes flexibility. It takes spontaneity. You have to be relaxed. And in taking a class titled Talk to Camera Bootcamp, Talk to Camera Bootcamp. Oh, and it's like confidence on camera. So by definition, none of the people taking this class are confident on camera. That's why we're here. Being not confident on camera is being self-conscious, being stiff, having anxiety. So I imagine there's not too much funny stuff going on in this class, especially on this exercise. Let me see if I can come up with another joke. There's another joke about a farmer who's, he had a lot of hens, but he only had one rooster, and he came out one morning into the barn and his rooster had died. Exhaustion, I guess. So he gets in his pickup, he drives down the road to where another farm where they've got roosters for sale. And he stops, he gets out of his pickup, and he says to the farmer, he says, my rooster has died and I need to replace him. I got a lot of hens and I need your very best rooster. So the farmer says, well, we got old Bert over there, and Bert is our star performing rooster. But he's kind of expensive. He'll cost you $500. And the farmer says, wow, $500 for a rooster? You sure he'll be worth the money? The farmer says, if you're not satisfied, you can bring him back. This is our best rooster. So the farmer's got the rooster in the cage, and he puts him on the front seat of the pickup truck. And all the way back to his farm, Bert's going back and forth in the cage saying, where the pigeon, where the chickens, where the chickens, let me get the chickens, I want the chickens, let me get the chickens, where the chickens, where the chickens. And the farmer says he says, slow down, and you're going to have to pace yourself, because I got a lot of hens and I don't want you dying on me. I paid a lot of money for you. Where the chickens, back and forth, where the chickens, where the chickens. And he gets to the farm and he puts the cage down on the ground and he goes back to shut the door of the pickup truck, and Bert finds his way. He gets himself out of the cage, starts running around in circles, going, where the chickens, where the chickens, where the chickens? And the farmer says, no, please, pace yourself. You cost a lot of money. You'll be satisfied, I promise, but pay. Where the chickens, where the chickens, where the chickens? He runs into the barn, and you hear all the hens, the feathers are flying in the air, and farmer's running after him saying, pay, slow down. And he gets in the barn, and Bert is running around in circles going, where the geese, where the geese? Where the geese? And he runs over the hill and down into the pond, and he starts getting all the geese. And geese are honking, and Bert's running around in circles going, where the ducks? And he goes running after the ducks, and he gets all the ducks, and the farmer runs, and he gets up, and he can see that Bert has collapsed on the ground. His eyes are just kind of glassy in his head, and he's breathing, he's panting. And the farmer yells, I told you to pace yourself. I told you to slow down. And there are vultures circling overhead. He says, now look what's going to happen. You're going to die on me, and the four vultures are going to... And the rooster goes, shh. Vultures. Let's see if I got another one in there. See, using humor is really hard because it's very hard to do it on purpose. So I'm going to stop here, and I've been going for about 11 minutes. I'd be interested in any jokes that you want to put in the comment section, or any comments that you want to put in the comment section, because that's why it's called the comment section, because you're supposed to comment. Please help me out. Criticisms, suggestions, tips. I'll be glad to look forward to whatever it is you have to say. But for right now, that's all there is. See you in the next one.